Welcome to New Perspectives. I'm Casey Davis Uchok, and today we're taking a closer look at African inventors and the practical innovations they've developed over the last 3 decades. Some of the most life-changing innovations aren't born in corporate boardrooms or massive research campuses. They emerge wherever people understand a problem deeply and decide to solve it. From energy and food to healthcare and technology, this episode traces how ideas designed for real conditions have shaped everyday life from the 1990s to the present. In the final years of the 20th century, innovation across much of Africa was shaped less by trend or prestige and more by local priorities. When infrastructure varied from place to place and imported solutions didn't always fit local conditions, communities relied on their own knowledge, skills, and creativity. The inventors of this era weren't chasing disruption as a goal. They were focused on usefulness, resilience, and practicality. In doing so, they built a foundation for decades of locally grounded innovation that followed. In northern Nigeria, this kind of practical innovation took shape in the mid-90s, leading to a deceptively simple solution with lasting impact. Without access to reliable refrigeration, farmers in northern Nigeria watched fruits, vegetables, and dairy spoil within days. Food waste meant lost income, higher prices, and fewer meals on the table. Teacher and innovator Muhammad Ba'aba turned to an ancient principle: evaporative cooling. He refined it into the Zir pot, a simple refrigerator made from 2 clay pots, sand, and water. As moisture evaporated, heat was drawn away, cooling the contents without electricity. Produce lasted longer, milk stayed fresh, and medicines could be stored during transport. Farmers gained time and bargaining power instead of rushing to sell at a loss. Ba'aba also built a system around the invention, training local potters to produce and sell the pots themselves. Simple materials and basic physics became a tool for economic stability, showing that innovation doesn't need complexity to be transformative. As low-tech ingenuity solved problems of survival, a new generation of inventors would soon turn scrap and science into something just as powerful: energy. In the early 2000s, during a devastating famine in Malawi, William Kamkwamba was forced to leave school when his family could no longer afford the fees. But curiosity doesn't disappear just because opportunity does. In a small village library, William found a book called Using Energy. Inside was a single image of a windmill. With no formal training and almost no money, he began experimenting, scavenging scrap metal, bicycle parts, PVC pipes, and discarded tractor fans. Over the next few years, William built a functioning wind turbine that generated electricity for his village for the first time. Lights flickered on in homes that had never known them. Phones charged, radios played, and eventually the turbine powered a water pump that helped irrigate crops. William's story became one of the most recognizable examples of grassroots renewable energy in the 21st century. It proved that innovation doesn't begin with infrastructure. It begins with imagination and persistence. As electricity reached villages, the next wave of innovation would travel on something already in millions of hands: the mobile phone. As mobile phones spread rapidly across the continent in the late 2000s, a quiet technological shift began. Even without smartphones or widespread internet access, basic connectivity opened new doors. Information could travel faster than people. Expertise could cross distance. For African innovators, the phone became more than a device. It became infrastructure. One of the first areas where this new connectivity proved its value was public health. By the late 2000s, counterfeit medicine had become a silent killer across parts of Africa. Fake drugs flooded markets, undermining trust and costing lives. In 2007, Ghanaian innovator Bright Simons founded mPedigree, a deceptively simple solution. Each medicine package carried a unique scratch-off code. Consumers scratched, sent the code by SMS, and instantly received confirmation of authenticity. No smartphones, no apps, just a basic phone and a text message. Within a few years, mPedigree expanded across multiple countries, protecting medicines, seeds, and agricultural inputs. It transformed mobile phones into tools of verification, restoring trust where it mattered most and proving that digital innovation doesn't need complexity to save lives. And if mobile phones could protect people from harm, they could also connect patients directly to care. In 2008, after Kenya's devastating post-election violence, traditional media struggled to keep up with the scale of the crisis. This is when Juliana Rotich, a Kenyan technologist, co-founded Ushahidi, a crowdsourced crisis mapping platform that allowed ordinary citizens to report real-time incidents via SMS and online. At its core, Ushahidi used simple technology to map and visualize reports of violence, unrest, and emergencies as they unfolded. What began in Kenya soon spread worldwide. By the early 2010s, Ushahidi had been used during the Haiti earthquake, the Egyptian revolution, and floods in Pakistan, becoming a vital tool for humanitarian response and social justice movements. Ushahidi empowered everyday people to participate in solutions, making technology deeply connected to the communities it was designed to serve. And more than a decade later, the platform is still in use today, supporting crisis mapping, election monitoring, and community reporting around the world. Our next story shows how digital tools began transforming access to healthcare. In 2011, Cameroon had fewer than 40 cardiologists serving a population of more than 20 million people. For rural patients, diagnosis often meant long journeys or no care at all. Engineer Arthur Zhang responded with the CardioPad, Africa's first medical tablet. The device performs electrocardiograms and transmits the data via mobile networks to specialists in major cities. Suddenly, a nurse in a remote clinic could capture a patient's heart data and receive expert analysis the same day. Travel costs dropped, waiting times disappeared, preventable deaths were avoided. Designed to function under unstable electricity conditions, the CardioPad showed how thoughtful engineering can collapse distance and bring healthcare closer to those who need it most. But healthcare wasn't the only system being reshaped by access to information. In the early 2010s, Kenyan computer scientist Jamila Abbas noticed a quiet imbalance. Farmers grew the food, but rarely controlled the information that determined its value. Her platform, mFarm, used basic SMS technology to deliver real-time market prices, weather updates, and group selling options directly to farmers' phones. In many cases, farmers could check prices before leaving their fields, changing decisions about when and where to sell. With information came bargaining power. Farmers using mFarm negotiated better prices, reduced dependence on middlemen, and sold collectively for stronger returns. In a market where information had long been uneven, mFarm helped level the playing field. Elsewhere, innovation appeared in a more personal form, driven by curiosity and experimentation. In 2012, a 15-year-old from Sierra Leone named Kelvin Doe built a working radio station from scrap electronics. Using discarded parts, he created transmitters, batteries, and audio equipment, broadcasting music, news, and community messages. His story spread globally not because it was polished, but because it captured invention at its purest. Curiosity turned into capability. Largely self-taught, Kelvin learned by taking devices apart and teaching himself how their components worked. His makeshift station became a local hub for information and connection in his community. As individual ingenuity captured global attention, others were thinking bigger about industry itself. By the 2010s, inventors and entrepreneurs began asking larger questions. How do these solutions reach more people? And how do they become more sustainable? This era reflects growing confidence, not just in ideas, but in the ability to build, produce, and maintain solutions locally. And in the present decade, solving one of Africa's most persistent challenges: what happens after food is harvested? Across Africa, as much as 40% of fresh fruits and vegetables are lost after harvest, not because farmers fail to grow food, but because they have nowhere to store it. Entrepreneur Nemeka Ikegwonu founded cold hubs in Nigeria, solar-powered walk-in cold rooms placed directly inside open-air markets. Farmers rent storage by the crate, paying only for what they will use. Produce that once spoiled in days now lasts weeks. Incomes rise, waste drops. Since its launch in the mid-2010s, Cold Hubs has expanded across multiple regions, becoming one of the most visible examples of climate-smart, market-level infrastructure on the continent. That same focus on climate-smart design and local manufacturing is now reshaping how Africa builds, quite literally, from the ground up. In the early 2020s, Kenyan engineer Nzambi Mate confronted a problem visible across many African cities: plastic waste piling up faster than it could be managed. Instead of treating plastic as trash, she treated it as raw material. Through her company, Jijinge Makers, Mate developed a process that transforms discarded plastic into durable interlocking construction bricks, stronger than conventional concrete and suited to local building needs. What began as an experiment quickly scaled into manufacturing. Jijinge Makers now produces thousands of bricks each day, supplying roads, walkways, and buildings while diverting plastic from landfills and creating jobs. Nzambi Mate's work reflects a defining feature of innovation in the 2020s, solving environmental challenges by redesigning everyday materials. As we close out today's episode, one thing is clear. These inventions challenge the usual story of innovation. They didn't come from global tech hubs or venture capital, but from necessity and local knowledge. Built for real conditions, they succeeded despite limited power, connectivity, and resources. Their impact isn't measured in recognition, but in food preserved, lives saved, and livelihoods protected. Together, they show how innovation works best when it's built for its environment and focused on real needs. That's all for this episode of New Perspectives. I'm Casey Davis Uchok. Thank you for watching. And until next time, stay curious, keep discovering, and stay tuned to AFROTURK TV.